Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy doing projects, training, consulting, and fractional CX and UX leadership. I apologize that I still have COVID. I think my voice sounds worse than I feel, but I did have a pretty bad night, and so I have the requisite puffy eyes that makeup cannot cover very well. So I am here for possibly the next hour taking your questions, and of course this is one of the days where I do a double office hours. I'll be back again at 6:30 p.m. Italy time, which is about 8.5 hours from now, and we'll have special guests John N.A. Brown helping me out answering the questions, though really he does more of the answering. A quick thank you to everybody supporting the channel through the YouTube membership program. People are giving $3 to $10 American dollars per month, which I'm always grateful for, but I'm exceptionally grateful for now that I paid for my license for my streaming software yesterday. So thanks to everybody who helps make that happen. Normally I stay here around 10 minutes in case there are no questions. So if there are no questions, we'll just shut this down and we'll do it all again in 8.5 hours. Some of you have been sending in questions ahead of time, and I've been catching those, and we'll do those later today. We'll also start with the questions we couldn't get to 2 weeks ago because it was a storm and my internet was dying. So we're going to start with all of those questions first later today in the other edition. If you missed that, it is archived, as always, in the Office Hours playlist on the YouTube channel. What's everybody drinking? I am having decaf coffee with coconut milk, though it tastes like hot, thick water. Yes, I don't have much of a sense of taste. There's still something nice about that. Let's see. So we don't have any questions yet this morning, but I am certainly happy to take the first question that comes in. All questions are welcome, even if you think they're not bright or not relevant or not important. I am here to answer your questions. So whatever they are the things we'll talk about. Excuse me for being live and sick. Okay, we've got Amir. All right, let's put Amir's question down in the list so that we can add it to the YouTube description later. And it says, I'm working on a research plan. I'm starting with your book and micro lessons. Any suggestion? Which videos do you recommend? Okay, thanks for that neato question. I would say in the case of making a research plan, my book might not help you that much. Yes, I've got a new book out and I'm very proud of it. It's called Customers Know You Suck, but it's not really a how-to on research. The book I'm working on with Larry, which we're hoping will be out in a couple of months, that will be a little bit more of a how-to on research. My current book is not. So I would say that one might not help you. But we do have a lot of videos in the micro lessons playlist that will help. And I would also say poke around the Think Out Loud playlist, because some of the Think Out Loud shows, what we did was we took a suggestion from the audience, and then I showed you how I would plan research for a project like that. I didn't make a formal document or more formal document the way I did in the micro lessons versions of research planning, but I still showed you some of the key things that I would be planning around. So like, who do we want to meet and how many of those people, and possibly where we'd find them, and what kinds of things are we looking to learn, and what might we ask them. So the Think Out Loud ones, it's not going to be all of them, but poke around to see where research planning might be done in a Think Out Loud, and I would say those are some of the good ways to go. I don't have a particular online resource or template. I think in one of the micro lessons I put up a template, but it's really quite simple. It's not really going to tell you what to do, as any good template does. A good template can't tell you what research to plan. It can just show you type stuff in here. So yeah, I would say you're in the right place with going through some of the micro lessons about research planning, and I think we had a few of those. So yeah, that would be those would be my suggestions. Sorry, I don't have more suggestions than that, but that's what I'm thinking. So, thank you for your question. What are you drinking this fine day? And hopefully my internet will hold out. We've definitely had some ugly internet so far this year, but hopefully that has righted itself. And just a reminder to everybody that good luck with it. That the link on the top of the screen, deltacx.com/links, has pretty much everything you'd want to know related to this stream. It's got our calendar of events, how to send in questions ahead of time or during the show, how to join our Slack and Discord communities for free, though, again, Discord seems to attract all the introverts. We have 300 people there saying nearly nothing. Slack seems to have more of the activity, but certainly you can join both and post wherever you like. These communities are free. There is no charge. So yes, deltacx.com/links is the way to go. And I am in my giant red hoodie again, trying to stay warm. I'm going to work on a little temperature thing to put up during the shows to tell you what the temperature is here. Ooh. Hey, so we don't have any other questions right now. I'll take a look at our schedule and tell you about what's coming up. Don't forget that later today we have more office hours with special guest John N.A. Brown. He's been joining us roughly every other month, sometimes every month, and he's always informative. Thank you, Resource. Have a great day. Tomorrow we start our book club for the Customers Know You Suck book. I will not be reading the book out loud to you. I will expect that you've read a certain number of pages, and then we'll get together to discuss it and for me to take your questions. So if you would like to join the book club, it's completely free. You can find the link through deltacx.com/links and then go to the calendar of events and look for January 25, 2023, and you'll see the book club, and you can add that to your Google Calendar. We're going to do it not here on YouTube. We're going to do it, I think, in a Google Meet. I thought it was in Remo, but it's in Google Meet. Yeah. So that's what the schedule looks like. We're going to do a little less streaming this year. At least that's the plan, and we'll see how that goes and if we need to add any back. But yeah, check the calendar of events. So this is Office Hours. Ask me anything. If you have nothing for me, I'm just going to have a hot drink and stick around a few minutes and then shut down the stream. But if you have something, please ask it. Otherwise, this is a very boring show watching me drink decaf coffee. Boo. I was going to test my new microphone, but then I forgot because I had a bad night and I'm not totally awake. I'll just make a quick check to see that I'm not missing any anonymous questions coming in, which come in through Video Ask. Nope, all the questions are for the late show tonight. Ah, this looks like a question. Yeah, thank you, Resource. Resource asks, have you got any thoughts about the recent tech layoffs? I do, and I actually posted them to LinkedIn yesterday. If you're not following me on LinkedIn, you certainly can. Looks like Debbie Levitt, this name here. So my main thought is I think they're mostly BS, if I can say that. I'm very surprised at a lot of the companies who are laying people off, companies who are not in trouble, companies who do not desperately need to cut people or salaries, companies who probably are not going to end the work of the people they cut. They're just going to expect the people to remain to do double work. You know, to me, if you have to lay someone off or a team off, it's because that project's been canceled. We're not going to put any budget to those people or that project. We're not going to do that work. So we don't need those people. That to me is the best use of layoffs if there have to be layoffs. But when I see that companies with squillions of dollars in the bank who don't seem to be experiencing any hardship, hi Manuel, and are probably going to continue those projects and expect remaining workers to just work longer hours for the same money, I think it's BS, and I think it's a manipulation of their stock price. For some reason, the stock market seems to like when people fire people. I don't get it. I think if they'd come out and said, hey, we're going to lay all these people off, and that means there's a whole bunch of work we're not going to get done. There's a bunch of deadlines we're going to miss. There's some targets we're not going to make. Then you would think that their stock would go down. But if they act like we're cutting all these people, that's money we're going to save, and yeah, we're still going to get all the work done, then sure, it looks amazing, and their stock goes up for whatever that means. I think it's going to be a reminder to workers and people that they are not... Oh, follow-up question. Yeah, let me get there in a moment. Oh, and let me put that on our list of questions. Yes, right. So let me put these questions on the list. So, and just to quickly address your follow-up question, based on my LinkedIn feed, it looks like a lot of people are UX and in-house recruiting. That's what's showing up mostly in my feed, but then again, that could be just a factor of who I'm connected to, that I'm mostly connected to UX and recruiters, but I'm also connected to product managers, lots of engineers, agile coaches, but I feel like in my feed I'm mostly seeing recruiters and UX saying I got cut. I don't have any statistics, so I can't verify what you've said down here. And Amir will get back to your question in a moment. So yeah, I ultimately think these layoffs are a manipulation of people's lives, a manipulation of stock prices, and mostly they're going to teach all of us that companies are not loyal to us. Companies don't care if we come or go. They don't care if we stay. They don't care if they alienate us. They don't care if when the economy turns around, we leave them because we can. They don't care if we're their temporary job just to get their name on our resume. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about anything, and we've all learned now there is no stability. So whenever somebody says to me like, oh yeah, I want to work at FANG because it's a stable job, it's not. And they want you to know that. They would rather you be afraid than for you to be confident. So it's not a stable job, and I think we've all learned a lot. And the question is, will you remember those lessons when that company makes you a job offer? If that company makes you a job offer and you decide to go working at these companies, know that it could end at any time with no warning. You could just wake up one day and not be able to log into your computer with no advance warning or idea. And I saw a post today that I really agreed with and can't stress enough. In UX, you need to have a portfolio. As you work at places, screenshot things. Again, appropriately. Save it for yourself. Don't publicly broadcast it. Screenshot things and save it off of your work computer. And that way, if you have to make a portfolio at some point, you have some records of what you did. Make the portfolio case study as you go so you remember what you did. Remove anything that's confidential. Remove anything that's personal information. Anonymize it as best as you can. And don't break any confidentiality or laws. You've probably signed a document that said you're going to keep things secret. So yeah, you might not be able to do anything with it for a certain period of time, for 2 years or whatever it might say. But take your screenshots while you can, because you might be locked out of your work computer one day, which is, to me, really low class. I hope that helps give you my opinion on these things. Okay, so let's take a look at what Amir is saying. And Kevin, we'll get to your question after Amir. Okay, so Amir says, let's put this one up. Oop, I need to make the font smaller. All right, Amir says, I've seen your critical thinking lean UX canvas. That was a video we did here, so you can find it on YouTube. Just write Delta CX lean UX canvas, and I'm sure a couple of videos will come up, including a recent one. I need an alternative. Lean UX is not based on research. Research is not the answer to our goal. How is research not the answer? I mean, it's going to provide information. What research and how? I mean, the research for a new startup, we see a lot of people with lean canvas. Yeah, so again, if you are trying to help a startup or do research and you're trying to do it by templates, then I'm concerned about what you've learned about research and how to do research. Because ultimately, a template just gives you a format in which you can fill in the information, but you have to know what that information is, and you have to know how to put that information in there. Lean UX Canvas is ultimately a giant block of guessing. So the question is, what kind of project is this? It says, what did you say? A new startup. What about a new startup? What are they looking for from you? I don't have a good enough sense of this project to tell you what to do, but I can only tell you that the answer is not going to be templates and canvases. Templates and canvases are the cheap, fast, but not good way to get everybody together to guess at stuff. And they're not, a canvas is not going to answer your questions. A canvas might help you see where you have questions, but it's not going to answer your questions. The answers come from the research. So again, lean canvas sucks. I don't think there's a replacement for it because templates and canvases generally suck. So the question is, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to help a startup find product market fit? Are you trying to help a startup determine what they should build for their MVP? Are you trying to help a startup determine who their target audience even is? If you can tell me, even if you don't tell me what the startup is about, if you can tell me what stage they're at and what they expect from you, I can try to tell you what type of work you should be doing. But ultimately, you've got to do your own work and you've got to know how to plan and do research. And a canvas isn't going to help you plan or do research. It can just give you a format in which you can organize that information. So I'm going to move to Kevin, or at least get Kevin's question on the list until we hear more from Amir. Sorry, I'm copying and pasting. Amir says product market fit. So if it's product market fit, we'll stick with Amir for a moment. So does that mean that this startup already released something? They got some people to sign up, but it's not really going as well as they hoped, or it's not really going well. And now they have to figure out, what do they need to build to really satisfy their audience? If that's where a startup is, then you should be doing generative research to learn more about the target audience and their behaviors. This is not really the time for evaluative research, because while you can do evaluative research and you can find some people who are using this app or system or would use it, you can still find that, okay, so you found a couple of places where the system isn't as intuitive or well-designed as it could be. There's room for improvement, but that's probably not fixing product market fit. That's probably just helping usability a little bit and just making a small or incremental change. That typically doesn't help a company with product market fit. It typically doesn't help a company if they are attracting new users or customers, but they're unable to keep them, and those people are leaving or abandoning or canceling or whatever it might be. So if you're looking at product market fit, you're looking at generative research. Now, I've proposed this to a few startups recently who came to me for a quote, and the type of thing that I'm proposing to these startups is probably about 5 or 6 weeks of a research project. The idea would be to find maybe 30 people from their target audience, a good range of people across different ages or genders, usually focusing maybe on one language so that we're not talking to people in different languages or people from different cultures. Maybe we focus mostly on North America or Western Europe. and to learn how do these people do whatever this is now. So the example I always give for a startup, though this is not who my potential clients are, is many years ago I met a startup who said they were going to build an app to help surfers coordinate surfing. So if I were going to plan generative research for that kind of startup to help them see where they can find product market fit, I would want to meet surfers of different ages, types, locations to see how do they coordinate surfing now? So your generative research is a lot about behaviors and how people do things. How do they coordinate surfing going now? What tools or systems do they use? What does that task look like? So I would probably do a task analysis as we teach in our micro lessons. What do people tend to do in what order? Where do different people do slightly different things? What does this task look like? Where does this task work well for the people we spoke to? Where does this task not work well for these people? Where is it inefficient, frustrating, confusing, disappointing, messy, things like that? And that starts to expose the problems and the pain points, which we can then write out in problem statements. And then we can take a look at what types of app or system or features or possible solutions, because it's still possible, it's unknown, could we make for these people that would solve their problems? Or sometimes we learn they're not having a problem. We could speak to 30 surfers and find out they love WhatsApp, they love Telegram, they don't need a new system to coordinate going surfing. They love to use Facebook Messenger, or whatever they use now works for them well enough, and they're unlikely to sign up for an app, download an app, pay for an app. So you can learn, sometimes you learn what to a startup feels like bad news, because you find out people don't really need what you think you want to build. Now, a great startup founder will listen to that and say, okay, maybe we were going in the wrong direction. Maybe this isn't what surfers need. Hey, Amir, what did you find out in your research? What does it look like they do need? Sometimes we found that they don't need anything in this space at all. There is no problem to solve. If there is no problem to solve, you're unlikely to find product market fit because you're unlikely to build something people need because they didn't need anything. But if you do determine that they have a problem, whatever that is, it might be people sometimes need to borrow surfing gear from each other and they don't know who has that gear and if that gear is the right fit or weight, and they wish they had some sort of place where they could do a quick surfing gear exchange or something. I'm making this up, but maybe you learn that there is a problem that they have related to their surfing that this startup could consider solving because maybe their original idea might never reach product market fit. So product market fit, lean UX canvas isn't going to help you. Generative research should help you because now you need to learn what problems this startup should be solving and how are people doing this now and how could this be better for them. That would be what I would be suggesting. I hope that helps. Here we've got, oh, that was from Amir. Let's copy and paste from Kevin. Thank you, Kevin, for your patience. I should also check if anonymous questions are coming in. No, not coming in. Very silly email coming in. I don't know why people bother sending these. All right, hold on. I'm not doing a good copy and paste job today. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for subscribing. All right, here we go. Is there an effective way to educate teams and clients about the value of UX? I'm the only UX design practitioner in our team, and purely talking about it doesn't seem to work. Absolutely. I would say, if you don't mind a plug, I would say that a lot of my new book is about that. It's written for the non-UX people, but of course you as a UX person can read it and use that as your arguments or ammunition or whatever it might be that you need. You can certainly recommend the book to other people if you would like, but slide that one out. But what I have found is that one of the biggest mistakes that people make when trying to explain what UX is, which is a shame, you shouldn't have to do it. They shouldn't have hired you and have no idea what you do. But one of the big mistakes is they talk mostly about the design or the tactical work you're going to do. I'm making screens and we need screens. I'm going to do some testing and it's important to test first. You're missing, if you're doing that, and I'm not saying you are, but when people do that as a form of explaining UX or educating about UX or evangelizing UX, you really miss what UX is about to the team and to the company. So I tell people, your work ultimately, no matter what's happening on the tactical level, your work ultimately is strategic work to help the company find and mitigate risk and reduce waste. Amir, I'll get back to you in a moment. Let's talk to Kevin right now. So the real purpose of UX is to give us customer intelligence, things that we might not know about our users and customers, as I was just saying to Amir, doing that early research, so that we better understand our users and what they really need, not what we think they need or what we made up they need or what a survey hopes they need. So it's really about bringing in that customer intelligence if you are doing research, or even some intelligence from testing. But it's about trying to keep the company from making bad decisions and making mistakes, which ultimately should save the company time and money. So the idea is that by doing, let's say you're a designer. So you say, I'm the only designer on the team. So let's say, what's the value of design? Well, by having someone specialized in design do the design, not only do we get to take advantage of someone who has education and experience in design and isn't just guessing at it. We have the opportunity to kind of mock up something we're thinking of doing and put it to the test before we have engineering burn weeks or months on whatever this is, coding it, testing it, merging it, getting it out there. So we can use design and testing and cycles of that to make sure that this is the right direction to go. A lot of companies say, well, we want an MVP so that we can just, do something first and make sure it's the right direction to go. UX is hypothetically your constant MVP. The idea behind the MVP was supposed to be, if you create a prototype or early version of your concept and its execution, you can see if it's going in the right direction and not waste time and money going in the wrong direction, which is definitely a risk and a waste. If you can do this in the UX process, you're saving even more time and money, because then you can find that this idea sucks, or the way we were going to do the idea is not quite right, or people are still struggling with this, or, okay, we designed something that seems to work, but it doesn't solve the original problem. What are we doing here? Let's go back and look at the original problem and make sure we've solved that. You can be doing all of this. It's really a lot of, I say it's like QA for the concept. We do all of this stuff in engineering to make sure that our code is good and our code is working and our code has as few bugs as possible. But we don't do enough checking that our ideas are good. So what's the purpose of having low bug code if our idea kind of stinks and our idea is not what's going to help customers? Remember, we're all here to help the company attract more users or adopt more users, make them happy, customer satisfaction, and then loyalty and retention, keeping those people. We don't want them to cancel. We don't want them to downgrade. We don't want them to leave. These are the big three. These are the three things everybody wants. And these are the three things that our job can do when we're correctly utilized. Hi, Amir. Other Amir. So we will get to both Amirs in a moment. Kevin, let me know if this is helping at all, and if you have a follow-up question, because ultimately, I would talk, instead of saying, here's the value of UX, really nobody wants a speech or a presentation on why I work here. It's a shame that they don't already know, considering they hired you, but I would just find ways to remind people that this is about finding risk and waste early. before we waste cycles of engineering building something that is going to be a small or large failure for the users. And ultimately, that's what the MVP was supposed to be. The MVP was supposed to be a minimum viable prototype, not product. Evidently, Eric Ries claimed he made that mistake, but never went back and fixed it. I guess when your book sells well, you don't want to fix your mistakes. That's a shame. But that's the main idea. If you present UX as finding and mitigating risk, keeping us from cycles of mistakes and waste, keeping us from, it's probably good enough, we'll fix it later, which really, where does that tie into adopting customers? Who wants to sign up for the broken thing that needs to be fixed? Customer satisfaction, who's going to be happy with the kind of broken thing that needs to be fixed, and loyalty and retention, who wants to stick with the company who releases broken stuff that they already know has to be fixed. So these are the key places where I focus on when explaining the value of CX and UX work. I don't talk as much about the tactical things like I'm going to make screens and we need screens, because someone else is going to think, well, I could have made the screens. Sure, they could make the screens, not as well as you can, but if you accidentally leave it at that tactical level, then accidentally everybody thinks they could have done this, and there might not be a strong reason for you to be there. All right. So then Amir M asked, let's put that question up. Kevin says, it always boils down to one thing, which is budget. In my experience, it's too daunting for them to do UX research. Yeah, it definitely can be. And that's where you have to document the risk and say, look, if we don't want to research first and we just want to go with cycles of guesses, we can do that. But somebody should be smart about this, and somebody should take a look at what it would have cost us to do some research up front and work from knowledge. We all say things like data-driven product and evidence-based design and evidence-based decisions. We say these things, but then we don't have the data and evidence. Or we think we can run a quick survey that says, would you like a giant amber cup? You would. Great, everybody make a giant amber cup. That's very flawed research. So I would say you can prompt people to document that risk. What is the risk of not having enough information up front and running with cycles of iterative guesses versus spending 4-6 weeks up front to have all of our questions answered, to have all of our knowledge. Tell them to watch this part of the video. This is for them. To have our questions answered and all of our knowledge in place, and then to make smarter decisions based on that. I believe, I can't prove it, but I believe if people actually tracked the money and time spent on each of these, you will spend less time and money putting aside 3 sprints or 6 weeks for really good research to help inform everybody and help us make better decisions and prioritization and things like that, versus, okay, here's the thing that we're going to build. Okay, Kevin, make us some screens. Kevin spends a week or 2. Okay, engineering, build it. Engineering spends 2 months. We've now spent how long on this? 2.5 months? Now engineering puts it out to the public. Now we sit and wait, totally reactively, waiting for the feedback to see how that went. We wait for customer support complaints. We wait for angry tweets. We wait for marketing to run a survey. That's how many weeks that we're going to wait? Or we wait weeks to see an A/B test, assuming it reached statistical significance. We've now burned 3.5 months to see if our original idea was any good. We don't do that anywhere else. We certainly don't do that with our healthcare. We don't do that with designing cars. We don't do that with anything else. But for some reason, we do it with software, and I don't know why. And I think that if people actually tracked the time and money spent, someone would realize, oh, wow, every time we have a new idea or a variation of the idea or a fix to our idea, it's a week or 2 for Kevin to get us some screens, and personally you should have longer, but that's just a guess. And then it's a month or 2 for engineering to code it, test it, merge it, check it, get it out there. And then weeks usually for us to get feedback and make sense of that feedback, So that's months every time we want to throw a dart at a dartboard. So I get it. It's scary to say, I want the engineering team to go work on something else for 6 weeks. The fear is engineering thinks we don't want them working on anything. We want them sitting and doing nothing. There is always something an engineering team can work on. It is a lie that engineering is going to pretend they're sitting and doing nothing. There is always something that is sitting in their backlog or icebox that they can work on. There is always a performance issue on the site or in the system that can be improved. The site or system is slower than it should be. We don't have all the API calls we want to have. There's always something engineering can work on while somebody does research. So the idea that engineering is going to sit around doing nothing while waiting is a fake argument. Are you really going to do nothing? Is there nothing in your backlog or icebox that you could work on for 6 weeks? Is there nothing that customers are complaining about that you could fix? Is there something we said before that we would fix later that is still waiting to be fixed? You got 6 weeks. Can you work on that, please? So yeah, that's the way that I would address that. So going back to the first Amir. First, Amir asks, I need a resource for detailed generative research, a book or article or course. I don't have one. I don't recommend anybody right now who I think is teaching it well. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I hope that helps. Please reach out if you need more help. You can always join our Slack or Discord if you haven't already at deltacx.com/links. They're free. And you can always come here and ask your questions. It's kind of my global mentoring adventure. But yeah, don't accept the usual answers like, then engineering will have nothing to do. Really? Said no engineering team ever. I'm always amazed at that. So Amir, I don't know where to tell you to learn generative research right now. I haven't seen any courses that I like. I don't know of any books that I like other than the one I'm co-writing with Larry Marine. So I really don't know, but I would say anything you can try to find online about doing observational research or interview research is a start, but some of it is garbage and you might not know the difference because you're still learning. You know, there are some people who say good interview research asks people to find a button on a screen or ask them what features we should build, and those aren't good questions. So I haven't found a good resource. We're trying to write the book on that and it's just not ready yet. So I'm sorry about that. We've got the other Amir. Thank you for your patience. Let me get your question on the list. Yeah, sorry. Everybody's waiting for me and Larry. We've been working on it for a long time. And now that I'm sick, of course, I'm the person slowing it down. I just don't have the energy I normally have. So let's see what other Amir is saying. And welcome, other Amir. And, oh, you're adding to it. Let me copy paste. Here we go. All right. All right, lots of stuff from Amir I. Okay, welcome, other Amir. Other Amir says, I've seen a lot of people are talking about ChatGPT to use as a UX researcher or designer, like using it to write user stories, survey questions, even interview questions, research objectives, and even creating a research plan. Seems like they're going to rely on it more than they have to. What's your take on it? How can we use it effectively if we have to? I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I've used this trick. I've analyzed previous project stats to buying in for UX research, why the previous project failed or not performed as expected. Okay, so ultimately, you know, ChatGPT is a little bit like auto-tune. It's taking people who aren't necessarily good at research and it's trying to help them fill blanks, or in some cases, it's taking people who might be okay at research and they think they're saving time by having this thing write stuff for them or figure out things for them. Remember, the recent is a follow-up for Kevin. Oh, okay, sorry. I'll take that part out. Sorry, that bit was for Kevin, I guess. Thank you. So, ultimately, my impression of ChatGPT is trained on stuff. You know, we've seen this with machine learning before. If you train ChatGPT on really good models and you ask it a good question, maybe it gives you an answer that you hadn't thought of. But I would also be asking, why didn't you think of that? I would always hope that a researcher can do their job and can come up with good survey questions and interview questions. I think, yeah, thanks, Amir. It's something that I am not for. I believe that we should be doing our own work. And I believe that if you are going to use ChatGPT, then whatever it comes back with, you have to put on your critical thinking hat and see if what it says makes any sense. Because as I was just saying, there is a mountain of really bad interview questions out there. And there's lots of Medium articles and blog posts telling you these are the questions you should ask if you're going to interview users. And the questions are sometimes terrible and the wrong questions to ask. If ChatGPT was trained on those articles, then expect it to write you those interview questions. Expect it to write interview questions that say, what features do you want our company to build? And what features is our system missing? And stuff like that. You should then have the critical thinking to say, well, I can see how that looks like a good question, but I know that's not a good question, and I know why that's not a good question. If ChatGPT comes up with a great question that you didn't think of, that's cool. You can include it. But the problem is going to be people who zombie follow what ChatGPT spits back, and they don't have the critical thinking or the knowledge or the skill to look at it critically and say, did I get back good stuff? I played with ChatGPT a little bit, but I didn't ask it UX questions. I asked it for an example of word painting in Brahms' Requiem, which is a romantic music piece. It has endless examples of word painting. The thing is full of word painting. And it gave me the most microscopic, surface level, almost answer for the word painting. It did not give me what I expected. With people being so on fire about how amazing ChatGPT is, I really expected it to tell me about how the harp in this movement is used to represent the rain that the chorus is singing about, how the rain is falling. And it didn't give me that. Though to me, that's the super obvious answer. That is the super obvious, easy answer. It gave me an even more surface, less acceptable answer. So ChatGPT is only going to know what it's going to know. It clearly was not trained on my university paper on word painting in Brahms' Requiem that I wrote in like 1992. That's fine. I don't think that's out there anywhere. I didn't publish it. So ChatGPT only knows what it knows, and it's piecing things together based on what it knows. If it happens to be trained on good stuff, you might get some ideas that you didn't have before. If it's not trained on good stuff, you're going to get rehashed stuff. And it's especially true when I think people say, oh, we want to be innovative. And I say, well, if you want to be innovative, then you have to come up with something new. ChatGPT might not come up with something new. That would be artificial intelligence. That would be it can actually think for itself and come up with new things that don't currently exist. But if it's really just rehashing things it's found, like I've seen some posts on LinkedIn, like 5 reasons why we should democratize UX research, 5 reasons why we shouldn't democratize UX research, that's being rehashed from somewhere. ChatGPT didn't invent those answers, didn't come up with them after its own logic and reasoning. AI would hypothetically be the machine can do logic and reasoning and come up with answers that don't exist. So remember, it is rehashing something else somebody said. And if it's trained on garbage, it might be giving you garbage. It could be giving you bad user stories. It could be giving you bad interview questions. So we just have to remember, if we want to play with ChatGPT, you can, but you need to have critical thinking about what comes back because it could be garbage. I see we have an anonymous question coming in. Let me find that one. Sorry for that person having to wait. Oops, says you asked it 20 minutes ago. Sorry. Oh, is this the same question that we already got? This question is, my company hasn't found product market fit. How can I go about that? I swear we just gave that answer, at least to some extent. Let me put it up on the screen. Yeah, so this one came in anonymously 20 minutes ago, though I feel like we've also been talking about it from the people in the chat. And ultimately, product market fit, thank you, and thank you for your smiling face emoji, which came up as words on the screen, but hopefully also an emoji. So product market fit is about fitting the product that you make to the people in the market. If you do not have that fit, you are unlikely to be successful. Your startup can fail in small or large ways. In order to find product market fit, you have to figure out what to build so that people will be attracted or they will adopt. So they'll sign up, they'll use it, they'll be satisfied, they'll be happy with it, and they'll be loyal or retained. They'll want to stay. If you can't do those things, you probably don't have product market fit, and you might not have a product or a company. The mistake a lot of companies make is they think that the best way to find product market fit is to come up with the idea and then try to have marketing people market it and advertise it until they get more people to adopt or attract. Okay, you can do that, but the problem is that you can definitely use marketing and advertising to pull people in. But if you don't have a good product and you don't fit what people need, you're not going to see that customer satisfaction, and you're not going to see that retention and loyalty. You're going to see people sign up, and then you're going to see people not stick around. And we can usually tell when this is happening at a startup or a small company because all of their public stated numbers are about how many people signed up or how many downloads they have, but we're not hearing how satisfied people are or how many people are staying. So you can get people to try things. You can give them $10 to try things, but if they don't like it, they're probably not going to stay. And that's where the product market fit is. The mistake is that the product market fit is not in get more people to sign up. It's have a product so great that they don't want to leave, right? Amir says, thanks. I always wonder why when you see a post on LinkedIn, why you should use chat. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying you should use chat GPT. There's lots of things that you can use to get help. You can use a mentor or a coach. You can get help from all kinds of sources, but you should always use your critical thinking with whatever comes back because it could be garbage. So ultimately, product market fit is about this full end-to-end customer experience. The customer experience doesn't stop just because people signed up or downloaded or installed your app. Those are vanity metrics. They look cool, but they're ultimately not going to keep you in business if you can't keep the customers. So the mistake would be to throw a lot of marketing at the product and hope you can find more people to sign up. But the correct way to find product market fit is to do more generative and qualitative research to make sure that what your company is doing and building matches the audience you're building for. So again, if you are going to be building for people who like to have a little sip of espresso and you decide more is more and we're going to build a giant cup the size of people's heads so they can have even more espresso, that might work in America where more can be more and we want to drink. This is my coffee cup from America. It is the size of my head. That can make sense there. Maybe that finds some product market fit. But here in Italy, where everybody drinks out of these tiny, tiny cups, they don't want this. This isn't sold in stores. This is looked at as being extremely strange. I am laughed at. So this is unlikely to find product market fit for this target audience. So either you have to figure out what audience genuinely wants this, not the audience you can trick into wanting this, what audience genuinely wants this, or take the audience you want to address and what do they need? How do they do this now? What are their behaviors, tools, techniques, approaches, their tasks? We talk all the time on this channel about task analysis and how we can use that research to analyze people's tasks, the steps they take, their tools, knowledge, and workarounds, determine the knowledge gaps, look at other issues, concerns, and obstacles that they have, and then imagine an optimized, improved version of that task, where that task removes some of our four horsemen: frustration, confusion, disappointment, and distraction. And we've now made a better, faster, easier, more efficient, more intuitive process for people to complete what they're trying to do. That has that chance at product market fit. When I see a product that is completely wrong for me, I've got two options. I can write to the company and say, hey, you made this thing this way, but I really need it this other way. Or I can say, I must not be the target audience for this. They built this giant cup when I like to sip espresso out of a tiny little thing. This just must not be for me. I'm not going to buy it. So this is where we have to think about, who is our audience? What do they need? What are we solving for them that nobody else is solving? What are we solving for them that we can solve better than anybody else? I think, for example, excuse me, about my project management software. I now use Monday.com, not sponsored. I pay them, they don't pay me. And I think about how I moved from my previous project management software, which was Teamwork, which I was increasingly unhappy with, but I had been a loyal customer for 10 years. I'd been there like forever. They'd written blog posts about me. I was a case study. You know, they thought I was going to be there forever, and I gave them high scores when I got those surveys. And then all of a sudden, I'd had enough with Teamwork, and I started looking again at their competitors. I found Monday.com. I fell in love. I dumped Teamwork. I never looked back. Teamwork tried to contact me to get me to stay. They offered me, oh, this discount, this, that, this. It was too late. I no longer wanted what they offered. There wasn't a product market fit for me as a market of one. They weren't going to be able to make me happy. Now that I saw that there was a system that better fit the way that I think and I work and I complete tasks, Monday is a better match for me. Teamwork could be a better match for somebody else. But I grew out of Teamwork, or at least it didn't match me. And so I'm over here trying to optimize my own tasks, my own approaches, my work. And Monday is the product that best matches how I want to see my tasks get done. And there isn't going to be anything Teamwork can do about that. So Teamwork might find that they're losing to the competition, or they're not. I don't know. I don't have inside information. But that's an example of a company that might struggle with product market fit, even though they've been around a long time. New competitors rise up. The new competitors are doing something really fresh and different. And all of a sudden, people are saying, okay, I don't need both of these. Which one do I need? Which one is the fit for me? So so that was a lot of yapping. I hope that helped and made some sense. We're kind of running out of time today, but if anybody has a last question, I can take a look at it. But in general, we do this for an hour, and we'll do it one Tuesday a month. We do it twice. So I'll be doing this again at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. It's coming up on 11 a.m. Italy time, and hopefully by then I'll be a little more awake. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I'll try out my new microphone. I don't know. So yeah. Thanks to the people who joined today and the people still watching live. Remember, I'm here pretty much every Tuesday to take your questions. I see it as kind of my worldwide live mentoring. If you've ever wanted to be able to ask me a question about work, career, process, approach, technology, anything, Brahms Requiem, I'm happy to answer it. And of course, this is all done for free. And I guess we're on, year 3 or 4 of this? So it's something I've been doing for quite a while. It's always almost flattering to see I have some copycats out there. Hopefully those people are helping you too. And of course, if you are going to other people's Ask Me Anythings, you're always welcome to ask me the same question. I might give you a different answer. All right, my coffee is not so warm anymore. But okay, let's wind up today's show. I will be back later today doing it all again. Thanks again to people who asked questions. And if you want to ask a question for the show later, go to the anonymous question asking thing on deltacx.com/links. Please remember to subscribe. It really helps the channel. Make sure you're pressing like on YouTube and make sure you're commenting on videos after the stream is over. All of these help me with the algorithm, which I need because I'm still shadow banned. So be well, everybody. I will play us out of here and see you soon. Thanks. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are